ligand-gated channels and voltage-gated channels are both really important when we watch one neuron communicating with one muscle cell. So a neuron and a muscle cell communicate at this location called the neuromuscular junction. And we're going to zoom in to the neuromuscular junction and see what happens. If we focus on the synaptic terminal of the neuron, it's the end of the neuron, and we'll see where the neuron, this is the neuromuscular junction. And this is the long, skinny, this is just a piece of the muscle cell cut. So here's the muscle cell. And this is the neuromuscular junction. And this bulb end right here is called the synaptic terminal. We see an action potential or a flow of ions arrives at the synaptic terminal. And by that I mean there's an influx of positive charge that arrives at the synaptic terminal. This influx of positive charge triggers voltage-sensitive gated calcium channels to open, and calcium enters the synaptic terminal, diffuses down its concentration gradient. This influx of calcium triggers acetylcholine vesicles, or a vesicle full of acetylcholine, and the calcium triggers exocytosis of this acetylcholine vesicle. And the acetylcholine is dumped into the synaptic cleft, or the synapse. Ligand-gated channels in the synaptic cleft bind with acetylcholine. These ligand-gated channels then open, they're sodium channels, and permit sodium to diffuse down sodium's concentration gradient into the muscle cell. This positive charge, this influx of sodium ions, triggers voltage-gated sodium channels to open. And we have an influx of sodium again, but now we're outside the neuromuscular junction. This influx of sodium regionally, this local influx, triggers the neighboring voltage-gated sodium channel to open. And we have an additional influx of sodium ions. And this influx of sodium ions, this positive charge, triggers a neighboring voltage gate of sodium channel to open. And in this way, we say that an action potential or flow of ions is propagated down the length of the sarcomere, or the sarcolemma, the muscle cell membrane. So this positive influx of charge, positive charge, has an effect on something called the sarcoplasmic reticulum, or SR. Sarcoplasmic reticulum is a membrane-bound, it's like a membrane-bound vesicle, it's a membrane-bound organelle that contains calcium, high concentrations of calcium. And these high concentration, these calcium containers, sarcoplasmic reticulum, are themselves opened by a positive charge, voltage-gated channels on the sarcoplasmic reticulum permit calcium to leave the sarcoplasmic reticulum. Calcium is responsible for triggering muscle shortening. So calcium is responsible for triggering muscle cell shortening, and a whole series of interesting steps that we may visit at another time. And this shortening is described by the sliding filament theory.